Self-talk sets the tone for the entire day, and whether you realize it or not, those first few thoughts you allow to take root in your mind when you open your eyes can shape your mood, your choices, your interactions, and even the way you interpret the challenges you face. Think about it. Before the coffee brews, before your feet even touch the floor, your mind is already scripting the story you will live out for the next 24 hours. The words you speak to yourself are like the opening lines of that story, and just like in a good book, those opening lines matter. They set the scene. They tell your brain how to feel about what's coming next. They determine whether the rest of the chapters of your day feel like a battle you are barely surviving or an adventure you are fully equipped to handle. If the first thing you do in the morning is scroll through headlines of chaos or measure your worth against someone's curated highlight reel on social media, your inner dialogue quickly turns into comparison, worry, or dread. And from there, the day can spiral before it's even begun. But imagine instead that you wake up and the first thing you say to yourself is, "I am here for a reason. Today matters and so do I." That single thought can reframe everything. Suddenly, your to-do list feels less like a burden and more like a series of opportunities. Your interactions feel less like obligations and more like moments to connect. That's the quiet power of morning self-talk. It doesn't just shift your mood, it shifts your perception of reality. Science backs this up. The brain is incredibly adaptive, and the thoughts we repeat regularly, especially in those first few moments after waking, have a stronger impact on our mindset because our brain is in a more suggestible state. This is why habits like gratitude journaling, affirmations, or simply pausing to take a deep breath before the day begins are so transformative. It's not because they are magic, but because they are deliberate. You are intercepting the autopilot thoughts that might otherwise run the show and replacing them with intentional, empowering truths. Morning self-talk is also a declaration of ownership over your life. When you choose the first words you feed your mind, you're essentially saying, "I am the author here, not my circumstances, not the news, not other people's opinions." That ownership is a subtle form of courage, because it requires you to believe that your perspective matters enough to protect. It requires you to decide that your peace is worth guarding before the day even begins to tug on it. And here's the thing, this isn't about being relentlessly positive or pretending everything is fine when it isn't. Morning self-talk isn't a denial of pain, uncertainty, or difficulty. It's a choice about how you will carry those things. You can acknowledge the storm without surrendering to it. You can tell yourself, "This will be hard, but I can handle it." You can admit, "I feel anxious right now," and still follow it with, "But I'm still showing up." This balance of honesty and hope is what makes morning self-talk powerful. It's grounded in truth, but it's leaning toward possibility. The beauty of starting your day with intentional words is that it has a ripple effect. The way you speak to yourself affects the way you speak to others. If your morning self-talk is rooted in kindness, you are more likely to extend that same kindness outward. If you begin the day reminding yourself that you are enough, you are less likely to project insecurity in your conversations. The internal tone you set in the morning becomes the external tone you carry into the world. Over time, morning self-talk becomes more than a habit. It becomes a lifeline. On days when you wake up heavy with grief or uncertainty or exhaustion, those pre-chosen words can meet you like a friend at your bedside, whispering, "You've been here before and you've made it through. You can do it again." On the days you wake up with fear tapping at your shoulder, your morning declarations can remind you that you've faced the unknown before and found your footing. This consistency builds a track record in your mind, a record of resilience you can lean on when you need it most. And let's be honest, some mornings are harder than others. There will be days when the temptation to reach for your phone before your own thoughts is strong. There will be mornings when the weight of yesterday feels like too much to shake off. That's where grace comes in. Morning self-talk isn't about perfection. It's about returning. Every day you get another chance to start again. If you miss it today, you try again tomorrow. The power is in the practice, not in a flawless streak. Another important thing to understand about morning self-talk is that it doesn't have to be complicated. It's not about reciting long affirmations that you don't believe. In fact, it works best when it's personal, believable, and relevant to where you are right now. If you're in a season of healing, your morning words might be, "I am allowed to rest, and my pace is my own." If you're in a season of challenge, it might be, "I can face what's in front of me today." If you're stepping into new opportunities, maybe it's, "I am capable and ready to grow." The goal isn't to force yourself into a mood. It's to anchor yourself in truths that keep you steady no matter what mood you're in. And yes, there will be skeptics. There will be people who roll their eyes at the idea of talking to yourself in the morning. But if you've ever had someone's careless words stick with you all day, you already know how much words can shape our state of mind. The difference is, with morning self-talk, you're taking that power back. You're becoming the voice that stays with you throughout the day and making sure that voice is one of encouragement instead of criticism. The real magic of morning self-talk isn't that it makes every day easy, it's that it makes every day intentional. You may still encounter setbacks, stress, and moments where you feel like you're walking through quicksand, but you will do it with a compass in hand. Instead of drifting aimlessly through the day, reacting to whatever happens, you will have already decided how you want to show up. Think of morning self-talk like tuning an instrument. A guitar that's out of tune will still make sound, but it won't make music, not the kind you want to hear. In the same way, your mind can move through the day without intentional tuning, but it will carry dissonance. Morning self-talk is how you tune your heart, your focus, and your perspective so that the music you make with your life is in harmony with who you really are. And here's the most beautiful part. It doesn't just transform your mornings, it transforms your life. Because when you start enough days by telling yourself you are enough, you start living like you believe it. When you begin enough mornings by saying you can handle challenges, you meet them with steadier hands. When you tell yourself every day that your voice matters, you begin to use it. Slowly, the person you dreamed of becoming stops feeling like a distant vision and starts feeling like the person you see in the mirror. Morning self-talk is not a trend. It's not a quick fix. It's a quiet revolution you begin in your own mind, one sunrise at a time. And as small as it may seem, those moments add up. They build a foundation under your feet that no bad day can completely shake. They become the difference between living on autopilot and living awake. So tomorrow morning, when the alarm goes off and your first instinct is to sigh, pause. Before the noise of the day rushes in, give yourself the gift of a sentence, a phrase, a truth that will carry you forward. Plant it like a seed, water it with action. Let it grow into a life that feels intentional, courageous, and rooted in the kind of self-respect that changes everything. Affirmations are more than feel-good phrases. They are seeds planted in the soil of your mind, designed to take root and grow into the beliefs that guide your actions, shape your habits, and influence the very trajectory of your life. Too often, people dismiss affirmations as empty slogans, something you might repeat in front of a mirror without any real conviction, like a pep talk you don't quite believe. But that's because they've misunderstood what affirmations are truly meant to do. They are not magic spells that make life instantly perfect. They are daily declarations that invite your mind and heart to align with a truth that may not feel fully formed yet, but is real enough to be nurtured into existence. Think of affirmations like a compass. When you're wandering in unfamiliar territory, a compass doesn't instantly transport you to your destination. It simply keeps you moving in the right direction. In the same way, affirmations won't erase life's struggles, but they will keep your thoughts, focus, and actions oriented toward what matters most. Without them, it's too easy to drift toward negativity, self-doubt, and fear because the human brain naturally pays more attention to threats than to possibilities. This bias might have kept our ancestors alive, but in today's world, it can keep us trapped in cycles of anxiety and limitation. Affirmations interrupt that cycle. The real power of affirmations lies in repetition and intention. Your brain is constantly rewiring itself, a process called neuroplasticity based on the thoughts and experiences you feed it. Every time you repeat a positive, truthful, and empowering affirmation, you are reinforcing a new mental pathway. At first, it may feel awkward or even false, especially if the affirmation challenges a long-held belief about yourself. But just like learning a new skill, the more you practice, the more natural it becomes. Over time, those repeated phrases become the background music of your mind, influencing how you see yourself and how you respond to the world. What many people overlook is that affirmations don't work if they are shallow or disconnected from your reality. An affirmation must be both aspirational and believable. For example, if you are struggling financially, saying, "I am a billionaire," might not inspire change. It might trigger cynicism or self-rejection because it feels too far from where you are. But saying, "I am building a healthier relationship with money every day," keeps the focus on the process and growth, which is believable and actionable. The goal isn't to pretend your struggles don't exist. It's to remind yourself that you are capable of change, even if the change is incremental. Affirmations also serve as anchors in emotional storms. On days when life feels heavy and your mind is tempted to spiral into hopelessness, a well-chosen affirmation can be the lifeline that keeps you from drowning in self-defeat. Imagine a rough morning where you wake up already feeling behind, overwhelmed by the tasks ahead. If the first thought you grab onto is, "I'll never catch up," that sets the tone for a day of exhaustion and defeat. But if you've trained yourself to reach for an affirmation like, "I will take one step at a time, and that is enough," you've already shifted the energy of your day. You've reminded yourself of your agency and the value of progress over perfection. The timing of affirmations is equally important. Speaking them in the quiet moments of the morning, before emails, social media, or the demands of others, gives them space to sink in without competition from the noise of the world. Similarly, ending your day with affirmations can be a way of rewriting the narrative before you sleep. Instead of replaying mistakes or worries, you choose to close the day with words that affirm your worth and resilience, which can even improve the quality of your rest. It's also worth noting that affirmations are not limited to personal growth. They can strengthen relationships, improve leadership, and foster empathy. When you affirm to yourself, "I choose to listen before I speak," or "I will respond with patience today," you are priming your mind to show up with intention in your interactions. Over time, these affirmations influence not just how you see yourself, but how others experience you. The people around you begin to feel the consistency of your presence, and that builds trust. Another truth about affirmations is that they work best when they are spoken aloud. There's something about hearing your own voice declare a truth that makes it resonate more deeply. Your tone, your emphasis, the physical act of speaking, it all reinforces the message. Writing them down amplifies their impact as well. When you write, you engage a different part of your brain, and the act of putting words on paper makes them feel more concrete. This is why many people keep affirmation journals or place sticky notes with affirmations where they'll see them daily, on the bathroom mirror, the refrigerator, or the dashboard of the car. But perhaps the most underestimated aspect of affirmations is how they connect you to the person you want to become. Every time you speak an affirmation, you are casting a vote for that future self. You are saying, "This is the direction I am choosing, even if I'm not there yet." Over time, those votes accumulate, and the gap between who you are now and who you aspire to be begins to close. The words, "I am confident," may feel foreign at first, but as you speak them daily and take small actions in alignment with them, you begin to notice a shift. You make eye contact more easily, you voice your opinions more freely, and one day, without realizing it, you have become the confident person you once only declared in words. Affirmations are also acts of defiance in a world that profits from your self-doubt. Everywhere you look, there are messages telling you that you're not enough, that you need to be thinner, richer, younger, more accomplished to deserve love and respect. Affirmations push back against those narratives. They remind you that your worth is not dependent on meeting some external standard, but is inherent and unshakable. Saying, "I am worthy as I am" in a society that constantly tells you otherwise is a radical, courageous act. And while affirmations can feel deeply personal, they can also be shared. Speaking affirmations with friends, family, or a community creates collective encouragement. Imagine starting a meeting with your team by affirming, "We are resourceful and capable of finding solutions together." That energy changes the tone of the entire interaction. Or consider a parent speaking affirmations with their child every morning. Those words become part of the child's internal voice for years to come. Of course, affirmations are not a substitute for action. You cannot simply speak change into existence without following through. The words are the spark, but your choices and behaviors are the fuel. If you affirm, "I take care of my body," but continue to neglect rest and nourishment, the words will eventually ring hollow. However, when you pair affirmations with aligned action, choosing nourishing meals, moving your body, setting healthy boundaries, they become powerful reinforcements that accelerate growth. It's important too to allow your affirmations to evolve. The words you need in one season of life may not serve you in the next. In a season of recovery, your affirmation might be, "I am healing and becoming whole." In a season of ambition, it might shift to, "I am capable of achieving my goals." Paying attention to what your heart needs to hear right now ensures your affirmations stay relevant and potent. In the end, affirmations are about relationship, the relationship you have with yourself, with your inner dialogue, and with your vision for the life you want to live. They are not just words floating in the air, they are commitments you make to your own becoming. They remind you daily that even when the world feels unpredictable, you still have the power to choose the story you tell yourself. And that story, over time, shapes the life you live. So the next time you hear someone dismiss affirmations as silly or superficial, remember, a seed may look small and insignificant, but within it lies the potential for a towering tree. Your affirmations are the same. They may seem simple in the moment, but with care, repetition, and action, they can transform your inner landscape and eventually the world you touch. Speak them, write them, live them. Because affirmations are more than feel-good phrases. They are the language of possibility, the architecture of belief, and the quiet force that can rebuild the way you see yourself, one word at a time. Consistency turns intention into transformation, and yet, for so many of us, this is where the real struggle lies. We often start with the best of intentions, big dreams, clear goals, heartfelt promises to ourselves. But somewhere along the way, life's distractions, setbacks, and frustrations creep in, and what began as a bold commitment fades into a distant memory. The gap between intention and transformation is filled with the quiet, often unglamorous work of showing up day after day, even when the excitement has worn off, even when progress feels invisible. Intention alone is like planting a seed. It's the first necessary step, but it doesn't guarantee a harvest. You can have the richest soil, the best tools, and a vision for the garden you want to grow, but without tending to that seed regularly, watering it, protecting it from weeds, giving it sunlight, it will never become what it was meant to be. Consistency is that daily tending. It's the repeated act of showing up for your own growth, not just when it's convenient or inspiring, but when it's hard, boring, or inconvenient. Many people misunderstand transformation. They think it's born in the big moments, the dramatic changes, the sudden breakthroughs, the life-altering decisions. And while those moments matter, they are usually the result of something much quieter, the accumulation of consistent, intentional actions over time. Transformation doesn't come from one intense workout, one inspiring conversation, or one good decision. It comes from the countless choices you make when no one is watching, when there's no applause, and when the results are still far off in the distance. There's a truth that is both liberating and challenging. The small things you do every day matter far more than the big things you do occasionally. Reading a single page a day eventually finishes a book. Saving a few dollars each week eventually builds a cushion. Offering a kind word each morning eventually deepens a relationship. Conversely, neglecting those small acts, skipping the workout, ignoring the budget, letting communication slide, doesn't seem like a big deal in the moment, but over time, it compounds into disappointment and regret. Consistency is also the bridge between who you are now and who you want to become. Think about it. Intention is essentially a promise to yourself about the future, but without action repeated over time, that promise remains unfulfilled. It's like saying you're going to learn to play the piano, but never practicing, or promising to be a better listener, but never slowing down to truly hear someone. Consistency is how you keep your word to yourself, and keeping your word to yourself is the foundation of self-trust. Without self-trust, you hesitate, second-guess, and doubt your ability to change. With self-trust, you move forward with confidence, knowing you will follow through because you've proven it to yourself again and again. This is where many of us get stuck. We overestimate what we can accomplish in a short time and underestimate what we can accomplish over a long time with steady effort. We want quick fixes, overnight results, and instant validation. But real transformation is slow, steady, and cumulative. It's like watching a tree grow. You don't notice the changes day to day, but over the years, the growth is undeniable. That's why patience is a critical partner to consistency. Without patience, you quit too soon, mistaking slow progress for no progress. Consistency also requires resilience because life will inevitably disrupt your plans. You will get sick, emergencies will happen, motivation will fade. There will be days when the last thing you want to do is take one more step toward your goal. In those moments, consistency isn't about doing everything perfectly. It's about doing something. Even the smallest action counts if it keeps the momentum alive. Too many people think consistency means never missing a day, never making a mistake, never falling behind. In reality, consistency means always coming back. It's the willingness to return to your practice, your discipline, your commitment, even after a setback. One of the quiet miracles of consistency is that it changes not just what you do, but who you are. Each repeated action shapes your identity. When you consistently write, you stop seeing yourself as someone who wants to write and start seeing yourself as a writer. When you consistently choose healthy foods, you stop seeing yourself as someone who's trying to eat better and start seeing yourself as a healthy person. Your identity shifts, and when your identity shifts, your behavior follows naturally. This is why transformation lasts when it's built on consistency, because you've changed at the identity level, not just the behavior level. But let's be honest, consistency isn't glamorous. It's not flashy. It doesn't give you the rush of a new beginning or the thrill of a dramatic breakthrough. It's often repetitive, sometimes tedious, and it can feel like you're working in the shadows without recognition. This is where love for the process becomes essential. If you only show up for the results, you'll give up long before you get there. But if you learn to love the process, to find satisfaction in the act itself, consistency becomes far more sustainable. The runner who finds joy in the rhythm of their steps will keep running longer than the one who's only chasing a medal. The musician who loves the feel of the keys under their fingers will keep playing long after the performance is over. Consistency also builds credibility, not just with yourself, but with others. People learn to trust those who show up regularly. In relationships, showing up consistently communicates care and reliability. In work, it communicates professionalism and dedication. In leadership, it communicates integrity. And that credibility becomes a foundation for influence, respect, and deeper connection. Here's another truth: consistency simplifies decision-making. When you commit to showing up no matter what, you remove the daily debate about whether or not you'll take action. There's no bargaining, no endless mental back and forth. You simply do it because it's who you are now. If you've committed to writing every morning, you don't waste energy wondering if you'll write today. You just write. This mental clarity is a gift. freeing up energy for creativity, problem solving, and deeper engagement in the moment.